Hi, my name is Roland and welcome to my VectrexRoli show. This time I wanted to do a shorter video that is easier to produce than, for example, my last video where I showed you all types of sync-aesthetic Spectrum computers in my collection, which took me 3 full weekends to produce, which is almost too much for a smaller channel like mine. You know, this year's just a non-commercial hobby activity, so I cannot always spend more time on my retro gaming videos than I would do on paid commercial productions for customers. Anyway, so I thought this time I will show you something more simple, which is still interesting to see in my opinion. Today we will have a look at another 1980s electronic tabletop game from my collection. This is Pac Man made by Tomy. But before we will have a closer look, I want to show you an interesting book about classic handheld and tabletop games. This book here is called Electronic Plastic, produced by Jaro Gilens and Bureau Destruct in the year 2000. I did show this book already in an older video, but I want to mention it again as you might like to get this. As far as I know, this is out of print, but you still can get used copies today. This book is from Germany, but all the text is in English language. The only question is if you will care much about the short text descriptions anyway, as the most interesting feature of that book is the whole layout. It is fantastic, and even my wife finds this book interesting, and she's more interested in art and design than electronic handheld gaming. On page 70 there is a section about Pac Man games, so there we see the Coleco game, and on the next page we see the game from Tomy. Obviously it was available under different names. Here we see photos of the Pac Man version, on mine it says Pac Man. Anyway, if you're interested in 1980s electronic games, I can recommend getting that book if you still find it for a reasonable price. Let's have a closer look at the box first. The first thing we notice is that it says electronic on the box, and if you are one of my younger viewers you might be confused about that, why they say that here, and for that you need to know that you could also buy electromechanical handheld games in the 1970s and 1980s. I have a whole playlist for classic handheld games and tabletop games on my channel, and I will link to that in case you want to see more. There is one video about some interesting electromechanical games, so go and check that out if you have not seen that, as it is amazing what game developers could do without electronic parts. I will also leave a link to that in the description text below. They also say LSI game on the photo, and I guess what they are referring to is large-scale integration, and they wanted to tell the consumer that they are using some modern microchip technology of the future in their brand new device here. But as we will see later, the game in the box here has a completely different looking logo than the one shown on the box. This game came on the market around 1981, and what is quite interesting is that there is some kind of flap or cover on the box, so you can open that up and see some screenshots what to expect from your new toy. This game is not using LEDs or a LCD, people always mix up those things. This is a so-called VFD game. VFD stands for Vacuum Fluorescent Display, so basically tubes are being used to create bright, nice looking graphics with high contrast, and you can still find such VFDs today on consumer electronics equipment. On the bottom of the box we see that this game is even licensed by Namco and is made in Japan, so this is still from a time when real quality products were made, and this is not just some cheap crap that falls apart after a few weeks. As this is an European release, on the side you find a game description in 6 different languages. There is also one in English, which I will show you in more detail so that you can read it. So they describe here the basic idea of Pac Man, and I guess most of you that watch a retro gaming related show like mine will know how Pac Man works. So you can steer into 4 directions and you need to eat the dots. There are ghosts or monsters as they call them here, chasing you. Even that sounds now amazing, gameplay unfortunately is not really close to the arcade original, as we will see later, but now let's have a look at what came in the box. The game came in the box in some polystyrene or styrofoam. Everything I got here looks complete, it even came with the manual. I got this from a garage sales. Normally I don't spend any time looking for such stuff, it was a pure coincidence I got that, and I did pay €2 for the complete game. I could not test it, but for €2 it was a no-brainer to take that. The game works fine, but even the box and manual alone and some spare parts for repair work would be worth €2 in my opinion. The couple selling the game wanted to get rid of some old stuff from their basement, so the game and the box was not exposed to sunlight, which is good. Next, let's have a closer look at the manual. Again, the whole text is available in 6 different languages. I'll show you the English part here, and you can always press the stop button to read the whole text if you want. So you need 4 C batteries, also called baby cells, or you can also connect an external power supply. Beside the on-off switch and the directional control, there is also a difficulty setting switch. There are different levels, which they call segments here in the manual, and you start with only 2 monsters when using the easy setting. You have to eat dots, which they call bait here, and the power pills from the arcade game are shown as stars in this game. You also have those warp tunnels on the left and right side of the playfield to jump over to the other side of the screen. Now let's have a closer look at the game. The whole game presentation looks very interesting, like an UFO, and obviously they wanted to do something here that reminds of the yellow Pac Man game character. I really like the whole simple and clean game design and the look of the dark protection screen, very well done. The game is in good condition, only the color from the text under the 2 switches vanished after all the years, but for only €2 I cannot really complain. Maybe I will try to fix that at some point. The Pac Man logo on top of the game is not printed there, it is a sticker, and it looks completely different than the one on the photo on the box. I don't know why, I'm just guessing that maybe they could not show the official yellow Namco Pac Man character here in my country for some legal reasons. On the bottom there is the battery compartment, and even the door feels a bit flimsy, at least you cannot lose it, which is a good idea for a toy that was designed for younger kids. At the back there is the power connector for an external power supply, so you could play that thing for hours then, at least if your parents didn't get nuts in the meantime because of all the beeping noises from the game. So finally we'll show you some random gameplay footage. There are some videos on YouTube about that game, but often you don't really see much on the screen, so I always invest some time to find out the proper camera settings for nice looking gameplay footage. What we can see is that the graphics look nice and colorful for a 1980s electronic game. You see your score on the screen, and many elements of the original arcade game are still included, but there are a few differences. The screen looks stretched, which is still okay in my opinion, but what I don't like about the gameplay is that you have to go constantly from the right side to the left side of the screen to eat the dots, as the open mouth of your game character is pointing to the left side. Of course you can move into any direction you want, but still the position of the open mouth on your game character does not change, and you cannot pick up dots or stars when going backwards to the right side. So the VFD screen used is not a dot matrix screen, so the look of all the sprites and game elements cannot be changed during gameplay. You also have similar issues with old classic LCD games. I guess the game designers had to do a decision here, either use a different looking game character that looks, for example, more like a ball without any mouth, that would work with all directions then, or going for a game character that looks like the original Pac Man, but then the mouth does always point to the same direction. You know, I can imagine how that decision meeting at Tomy back in the 1980s was going, with all the product managers and technicians sitting around the table discussing if their Pac Man character should be able to eat dots, also going backwards with his bottom. But I guess they didn't want to call their game Pac Man, so they decided he can eat all the things only when going to the left. Still, it ruins the gameplay experience for me a bit, as it is now a slightly different game than the original Pac Man. It is a nice game though. I guess I still would have liked this back in the days as a kid, but it is not Pac Man, it is just Pac Man. Besides that, all the rest is well designed, and it is nice that you get 2 difficulty settings. You know, in the manual they were saying something like, "Let the whole family have a go." And I think what they really wanted to tell you is that if your parents also would like that game, they probably would not want to kill you after hearing 2 hours of those beeping sounds of the game. So there you have it, Pac Man released by Tomy in 1981. Really happy with the game, but I would not pay a fortune for it, as there are games out there that have better gameplay mechanics, I would say. Still, it looks quite nice on the shelf. If you want to see more 1980s handheld gaming goodness, check out my playlist for that. I can also recommend to watch my video about the Nintendo Game & Watch series, which my viewers seem to like, and I will put a link in the description text below. I hope that was interesting and entertaining for you. You know, making videos is quite some work and very time consuming, and as this is a non-commercial hobby activity, this is a free service for you, so please consider subscribing to my channel to show your support. You will find a lot of stuff here you have not seen on a million other YouTube channels before. Please like, share, and feel free to leave a comment. Say hello to us also on Facebook, and as always, thanks for watching.